welcome to the Vision to Success with.
Hi, I'm Jason LeDuc from Evil Genius Leadership Consultants, and this is my co-host, Maria Pureza, and this is the Vision to Success show. And we talk about topics that are interesting to business owners here in the Las Vegas Valley and beyond. We bring on great guests who have tips and tricks and that they can share with you and talk about their journey through business and not just how they've succeeded, but also how they've struggled and what they've learned along the way so that you don't have to learn the lessons that we all learned the hard way. You can learn them by watching this show.
That was wonderful. I think I like to be the audience too.
Well, hey.
You know what I mean?
So,
But anyways, yeah. So normally what we do every single week is we come up with a topic. Did you come up with any topic that you want to talk about?
I didn't come up with anything ahead of time, but there's so much going on right now. I mean,
Yeah.
everything is opening up so fast, and the big thing I'm hearing about, whether it's hearing it on the news, whether it's when I'm talking to business owners or the nonprofits and the other businesses that support business owners, is it's really hard for business owners to bring on new folks right now. They've got all this capacity. Now especially restaurants, they're having a really hard time hiring people to come work in restaurants.
Wow. So the working thing, the people who trying to find a job are not really into finding a job.
Well, I think there's a couple of factors here, and so one, there is the obvious. Yes, people are getting paid a lot to not work right now, but that's only going to last so long. I don't know if I'd hold out all the way until September for those unemployment benefits to end. A lot of states are actually dropping that extra $300 a week. I wouldn't want to be the person who's last trying to find a job come September or October. So
don't.
if it were me, I'd start getting out there. I know that extra money is tempting, but I don't think that's the whole story.
Yeah.
And I think part of this is, and there's been a lot of talk about in COVID how a lot of women have had to leave the workplace in COVID because they had the responsibility in the family for helping kids with the homeschooling and doing the childcare and that kind of thing. And I think what we're finding, at least this is part of what's being talked about, is there's not enough childcare capacity, whether we're talking about here in the Valley or even nationwide, for people to just start going back to work. And I think that's a big factor that employers need to consider as well.
I think there's a lot of loopholes right now when this COVID-19. See, I only thought that it's because of the unemployment. Now that you brought that up, I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. A lot of things have to be fixed actually for this to be running smoothly. I think I agree with that.
Yeah, I think I'm not saying that the extra unemployment benefits aren't a factor, and the child tax credits are coming up starting end of this month or beginning of next month or something. There's a lot of money flowing out there not to work, but I think there's a lot of structural factors that may need to get put in place. If we don't have enough childcare capacity, it's gonna be hard for families in general to go back to work. Never mind whether it's women or men or whoever it is, especially while school is in. Now we've only got a week left of school here in Nevada,
Yep.
but so we might see in what's this, middle of May right now. So in June our numbers might tick up a bit because kids won't have to be in school or doing the homeschool thing, but that childcare thing isn't going away. And I don't know if that's the whole answer, but it certainly seems to be a big piece of the puzzle to me that someone may need to help figure things out, whether it's the government or whether it's employers. If you're an employer and you're having a hard time hiring people, that may be something you consider, is how can you help alleviate that childcare concern or other family concerns that might be keeping families from coming back to work.
Yeah, that's especially women has youths. A lot of women are, we have a huge numbers of women work on the workforce. So yeah.
And there may be, this is not new. We were seeing a really tight labor market in 2018 and 2019 where it was getting really hard to hire people, especially at the entry level. So as an employer, I know it's hard to justify paying people a lot more than what your entry level in your industry typically is, but you may think about what other benefits you can give them. Can you provide them with some kind of child care credit? Can you provide them with some educational benefits? Can you provide them with a 401k? That's getting easier and easier to do, to provide retirement benefits like a 401k, even if you're a small business and it's just you and one or two employees. It's getting easier and easier to do that.
Oh, I like to see that too, actually. I was thinking about those things too. But anyways, yeah. say, besides since we're talking about COVID-19 and we're opening here in Vegas, you see that news from CDC. We don't no longer needed. Well, we still need it, but how can they figure out who is vaccinated and not, right?
Yeah,
So,
and
yeah,
that's another complicated issue. But the CDC has said that if you are vaccinated, you are at extremely low risk of, if you're fully vaccinated, getting COVID if you're not wearing a mask. And so
yeah,
that's what's done. And honestly, it is putting local and state governments in a tough position.
Yep.
Because it's very hard to enforce. Well, you've got to wear a mask and you don't. And here in Nevada, the state has basically said, and the local ordinance has said, honor system. So you know if you've been vaccinated or not, and they're letting businesses decide if they want to make people mask up or not. But sometimes you've just got to take do what's simple, especially if the risk is low for.
Yeah.
In this case, the risk is very low for people who've been vaccinated. If you haven't been fully vaccinated, you're kind of taking that risk on yourself if you're not wearing a mask or not around people who wear masks. So.
And I like the fact that we can decide for ourselves. So I'll just totally. Are you in mask or not?
I'm vaccinated, so.
No, what I meant is when we started this, what is your opinion about the mask?
Well, I think the science behind the masks is very clear. When you wear a mask, you're keeping the moisture and the droplets. A mask doesn't protect you. A mask protects all the people around you from you if you are infected and don't have symptoms. Somehow that got blown up into a huge political thing. So,
yeah, and we're not getting into political things here. So, do we have enough time yet, or we can go on?
Do we have enough time? We have plenty of time. But I think what we could probably do is take a break.
Sorry.
And we will bring out our first guest to talk about networking skills, networking techniques, and why networking is important to you in your business. We'll be bringing on Rick Cosgrove in just a minute.
Welcome back to Vision to Success with our brand new guest today. Go ahead and introduce our guest, Jason.
Well, I'd like to introduce you all to my good friend Rick Cosgrove. I've known you for a couple of months now. It hasn't been that long.
No, it's a couple months. I think we've known of each other for a little longer.
Well, you know how the scene works here in Las Vegas. Even in business, there's a scene here in Las Vegas. And so Rick is involved in a lot of things, and we'll let him tell us about some of his business ventures. But really, what we brought him on today, Rick is one of the best networkers that I've ever met. B, always willing to share that knowledge, and C, is actually doing some things and taking some action to try to make networking events better experiences for everyone who attends. So. I want to introduce Rick Cosgrove. Rick, tell us about how you came to Vegas, because you haven't been here that long, and tell us about your story of how you got to what you're doing in business today.
Absolutely, thank you, Jason. Spent my entire life in California. Worked my way, owned family businesses. Found myself in banking for 25 years. Wrapped a career with JP Morgan Chase in December of 2016. I was in executive management with those guys, and thought Tennessee was the place to be. So we went out to Nashville, Tennessee, and it turned out to be a nice 2-year vacation for me. But it allowed me to develop. they weren't very welcoming to outsiders over there. They can't support the people flooding that state. So I spent 2 years and just developed, and learned how to promote my businesses, and anything that could not cost me money. Mistakes of spending money on SEO and this and the other that went nowhere for me. I figured I got to dial in on how I can make money by using myself and branding myself that costs no money.
So let me ask a question, Rick. I have several, but let me start with this one. So in California, 4 or 5 years ago, and just in general in the world, doing business and promoting your business was very different. So what were the old ways you were using to promote business in California? What were you trying in Tennessee, and what did you find wasn't working, and what did you ultimately land on?
Certainly. So when I was in California through my career, I just had to go represent the company. And I got paid a salary, a nice one, to do it. So it didn't matter whether I made connections or not. I just went to events and represented the organization I was supporting. Moved to Tennessee, and I'll be honest, I had no plans on going self-employment or the entrepreneurial way. My whole game plan was move to Tennessee and go back into banking, spend 10 more years in that, pad the retirement, and call it a career. Well, I couldn't find jobs. I was overqualified for everything. So I had to get out there, network, and go meet people. And when I was in Tennessee, when I got out there and meet people, I found out real quick that they didn't support the transplant, if you will. Someone from out there, their infrastructure wasn't supporting the people, the traffic, and then if you're from California, it's 10 times worse because they think you brought the politics, the traffic, and the bad attitude with you. So I found it very difficult. So I realized real quick that this wasn't going to be a long-term play for me living out here. My family's all still in California, my kids, mom, brothers, nephews, and niece. So I figured, let's come and get closer. So it was Arizona or Vegas, if I'm being honest, and I visited both. And I hit the networking scene out here in Vegas and got out there just to meet people, just showed up. And I fell in love with the people here. And I've been coming to Vegas since I was a kid. And then obviously in my 20s, I'm in California. I'm a hop, jump, and a skip away to the casinos. So I've been coming here forever, but I never knew about the off-the-strip life out here. And I got to be honest with you. And you would think with Southern hospitality out there in Tennessee, it's the opposite. I have been more well-received out here in Vegas. The people have been so awesome. And part of it's because it's a transient town for the most part. Everyone's kind of from somewhere. But I just fell in love with the people. So the big difference is my bottom line relies on my networking, and it's inexpensive because it costs me nothing to go out and meet people versus just going out and representing the organization, Fortune 500 company, if you will. Not kind of hard to go out there and talk about that.
What do you find you need to do different as a business owner to be out there as opposed to what you need to do to just represent your organization?
Yeah. Well, the first thing, in my opinion, it all comes down to being selfless. 100% selfless. It's never about me. I want to support others. So my first play, and I'm going to give myself a little plug, was my 100 Cups of Coffee with Cause. And the whole mission of that was I would meet somebody, and that's how I integrated myself into this community. I started promoting that. I didn't have my businesses formed yet, transferred, all that. So I was like, well, I got to get out and meet people. So I went out and just promoted 100 Cups of Coffee with Cause. And the whole idea behind that was meet somebody great, understand their story, where they came from, how they got to where they're at today, how they're helping people today, and then hit my social media platforms, all of them, and promote them. Just promote who they are. We don't even talk about my business unless I'm asked. So when I write them up, take a nice cute little selfie with them, and I just promote them. And I just started promoting people, other people. I never talked about myself. And then I just kind of became known out there. And of course, the hat, there's a story behind it, the hat and what have you. So, and the beard as well. And the suits. There's a story behind the whole thing here. But that's what I found. I found that if you're selfless, and we could talk about the organization I'm involved in today in a minute, but if you're selfless, organically, people are going to support your business, support you, and I want them to like me as the person and trust my integrity and my level of professionalism and earn that trust before we even get into what I do and how I can help.
Excellent.
Yeah, I love that you said knowing these people instead of telling your own story, because we have a tendency to love to talk about ourselves and not listening to other people. And I think that's one of the reasons that you're getting really successful to this, because you do that.
Absolutely. And I enjoy it. I just prefer to give back. And if I could connect others together and give back, I just feel good things will happen. It's that whole karma thing, right? You give back, you help others, and you find good people. And I have a whole vetting system when I don't waste time with ethics people who don't have them, and hardcore salespeople. I just don't feel that's the best way. I'm a relationship guy all the way through, and I believe that the relationship is the way to go.
I want to dig into that a little bit, because when you and I talk about being selfless, building relationships, this is something very obvious to us. We've been doing this a long time. But for someone who's just getting started with their networking, or maybe just starting their business and learning how to promote themselves, let's start with, what's the difference between being selfless in your networking and giving away too much of your time or your money or your product for free?
Well, it depends on the price you put on your product. I don't put a price on my product. I just want to help people. Now, I make money when people utilize my products, or whether it's an insurance product, whether I'm doing the taxes, or building out an estate plan. I'm going to make money, but I don't really put a price to that. I don't think you can. So for me, it's just having a good follow-up process with the people you meet, but the group I'm in, we're all about strategic and intentional networking. And when you think about it, do you know who you're looking for? I can go to an event and there could be 30, 40, 50 people there, right? And I want to meet them all, sure, but do I know who I'm looking for? I do. Every time I go, I'm very intentional. I know who I want to meet. I know what I'm looking for. Doesn't mean I don't want to meet the others, but I can't follow up with 30 people. I don't have the time. So, and you learn this through trial and error. There's no secret to it. You learn this through trial and error. You figure out who the time wasters are, and you start to kind of figure out those attributes that they possess, and then you just avoid them. But I'm big on the follow-up, and I don't follow up with an email. I follow up with a video. They get me on video, speaking to them. Every one of my follow-ups is a video. Thanking them for meeting them. It's very personable, and I limit who I follow up with.
So let's pull on the thread a little bit, because this is a very important part of, I'm talking to you, the audience now, a very important part of your marketing strategy is knowing who your target market is, who your target audience is, and if you don't have a good handle on that, you're going to find yourself very frustrated at events like this, because you're going to be kind of either just trying to talk to everyone, or you're kind of going to get boxed in by the people who just want to talk to you and maybe hard sell you. So let's be real specific. You have a business, you do estate planning, you do some other things, but who is your target market, and how do you know, what are the kinds of things they say to you, or they say that indicates to you that they're your target audience? Well,
when you speak of the estate planning, it's really, I don't have to get into my business. I just have to understand them and their family. If I understand you've got a family, you've got children, what have you, you need to protect them. So I could just find out about you organically, your family. I'm going to talk about you and your family. I want to know about you and your family, because then I'm going to really take an interest, and it is genuine from me. And then we'll talk down the road. I'm not pitching you the second time I meet you, the third or fourth time. I don't even, honestly, I stopped carrying business cards. I might have a few here and there. I have a little QR code if somebody really wants to get a hold of me. I just stopped carrying them, because I don't want to go out there and just hand out a bunch of business cards and let people collect my business cards.
And throw it in the trash.
I agree.
Right.
So
that's where they end up.
So one of my networking tips, tell me what you think of this, is don't hand out your business card unless somebody asks for it. And if there's someone you really want to talk to again, in the vein that Rick is talking about, if I'd like to get to know this person, I'd like to see if we're a good fit for a personal relationship or professional relationship, ask for their card and then do a warm kind of follow-up, whether you do a video. I do a lot of email or calling. Yeah. But, you find what works for you. But business cards, if you just hand them out to everybody like candy, they end up in the trash, is what I found.
They absolutely do. And when somebody asks for my business card, like I said, I'll pull out the phone and they can do the QR code thingy. I'm not afraid to ask, what do you need my business card for? I'm not afraid to just say, I'd love to provide that to you. What do you need it for? Are you a business card collector, or do you think you're going to need my services? Do you have somebody you want to refer to me?
You say that, but my business card's going to be worth a lot of money someday.
Well,
on the collector's market.
Here's the thing. I have a ton of baseball cards I thought were going to be worth something on the market at some point. Now they're not worth anything, but I'm sitting on them.
Yes, that's true too.
Yeah.
Well, I want to actually that's with the subject about target market, because you have different businesses.
Right.
Yeah. So when we're talking, although you don't really, I'm that kind of person like you, where when people ask me target market, everybody's my target market because I don't really know who is gonna be really my target market. I do that. I talk to everybody and figure out who I'm gonna do that. But there's a lot of, I don't know if you are aware that when you have different business, different type of business, you kind of like, this is insurance. Do you actually get all those, like do you utilize all those connection that you have for any, you put them, I call it positioning into my life. So you position those. Is that how you do to like position them, like oh, this is my insurance client. This is my estate planning client.
Yeah. So a little bit about my system. So I own Cosgrove Financial Services LLC, and that is the parent company to my brand called Save On. You have Save On Estate Planning, Save On Insurance, and Save On Taxes. Now, about fourth quarter of every year, I start really ramping up for tax season. Tax season, I'm hammered between now and Monday, yesterday, and I'm pretty busy. Now that's a huge lead generation for my other two businesses. So we stick to the task with the tax piece because that's what they're there for, and I'm very busy during that time of the year. So we hit the tax piece, but they're into my CRM system, and I'm getting a financial picture of them as I'm handling their tax business. I understand their children, their employment, all this kind of stuff. So I have it in my office, the other businesses I have, so they can kind of see what I do and the services I offer. Then, we get out of tax season, and we start hitting, and I start reaching out to some of my clients that I, from the early part of this tax season, I have it staggered out, and we start talking about insurance needs and what have you. And I do property, casualty, and life. And then the life and the estate plan all kind of ties in together as well. So the life insurance kind of plays on both sides, my insurance company and then through my estate planning, because we all need that. My family was affected by not having it. My family was affected by not having any of these documents in place. So I'm very passionate about that. And then what I saw in the banking industry. So that's kind of my flow is tax season, insurance, and estate planning is all the rest of the year. Now, it doesn't mean that I don't do some insurance and estate planning throughout the tax season. I do, but I'm not pushing and promoting it. I'll get it just through word of mouth or people who know me or referral business. And that's kind of my flow through my year of how I support all three of my businesses. Because I'll be honest, I started with Save on Estate Planning. It was the first one I did while I was waiting for my LLC to get through all the red tape out here and get formed and what have you. So the quickest thing for me to do is just start a sole prop Save on Estate Planning, and I got out there and got that thing going. But there is a flow. But last year, because I got here the last week of September of 19, so last year was all development. I wouldn't encourage anyone to launch 3 businesses simultaneously, but I did it because I had to. And I just developed all year and learned a lot about social media marketing. And anything I could do that didn't cost me money.
Well, when you have different businesses, when it comes to networking, because I am the kind of person that you gotta have only one business for me to trust you, to work with you. Because a lot of people, when they have multiple business, they don't know their focus. They don't know what is their, what direction they go to. How is it complicated for you to go network out there and have multiple business to kind of like, hey, I am this, I am that, how complicated?
It's very easy because they're all intertwined. At the end of the day, they're all somewhat financial services. So they all kind of are married to one another on some level. I don't promote either business. And I'll be honest, you just brought up a great point because that was my challenge. I would get out there networking. Hey, what do you do? Well, I do a bunch of different things, and they're all different categories. Hence why I'm not really part of a networking group, because these networking groups that are category exclusive, I take up about 5 categories. And then I'm stepping on people's toes if I build a better relationship with these people. And I don't want to burn bridges. That's not what I'm about. So, yeah, I get what you're saying. For me, it just made sense. So when somebody asks me what I do, I give them the QR code, and they go to mrcoz.com. That's mrcoz.com, and they get a list of all my businesses. It's a link tree. It'll take you to all my websites and all the different things I do.
Yes.
And what's great about what you do is it is all thematically linked. It's about helping families prepare for the future, whether that's next year's future of paying their taxes and hopefully paying less taxes than they paid the year before, because you can help them with that, or whether it is when they paid those taxes because someone else in their family didn't do some good estate planning. They ended up paying a bunch of taxes on that money and had a bunch of hassles to deal with the estate, or using that insurance to plan for the future. So I think you have put together a very good package of things that you can do, and I know for a fact that when there is something that can help a family plan for the future, but it's not your area of expertise, you certainly refer that right out to the right person as well.
Absolutely, and that's where the fight. Like, I don't have my securities license. I don't want that responsibility. I'd rather protect assets than invest assets. And it's very hard to find quality financial advisors, if I'm being honest. And I found a couple, but I kick a lot out of my network because I'm just not doing the right thing when investing and working with my clients. And I'm real big on doing the right thing. I don't need to be involved in your process, but I need to understand, and I need to trust you, and I need to understand how you handle my client. So, but everything else, yeah, especially the estate planning. And where I'm unique in the estate planning is the biggest misconception with all of that, because I prepare trusts, wills, power of attorneys. I avoid court processes. My slogan's avoid probate before it's too late. Mm-hmm. We keep people out of courts. That's the goal. But I also do probates with an attorney that I partner up with. Mm-hmm. But in the late 90s, when I was with the bank, I spent 15 years with them. I was tasked with building out a trust department for this bank. Built out a team of 10. Nobody else understood how these documents worked. What I will say is I've reviewed probably more than 100,000. Well, I know I've reviewed more than 100,000 trusts, because this was back in the CD era of the 90s. You had a lot of old money. You were getting short-term certificate deposits for 11 to 14%. So people were putting their money in the banks. And that was the investment vehicle. And then they had to protect that, and they wanted their family trust attached to it. And if you saw it, and nobody else can consult and advise on what I've seen in the banks and how families were affected. And trust me, they were. That's a whole nother story. That's a whole nother segment, because I could talk about 20 minutes on what happens in the banks that you guys don't even know that affects you.
So we've talked a lot about some of the challenges with networking, both personally. We talked about some of the structural challenges, of the different kinds of groups that are out there that are promoting networking. Now, what I really enjoy, what I really like, is that you don't just have things to say about what's going on. You took some action to try to create something new and create a positive networking environment here in the Valley. So tell us about SBC. Tell us about why you formed SBC and what you're trying to do with it.
Yeah. So we have a lot we're trying to do, and it's going to constantly evolve. So strategic business connections. It's Samantha Whitley, Kendall Haney, and myself. Now, Samantha Whitley, this was her vision that started about 2 years ago. And she wasn't finding what she was looking for in networking.
Exactly.
And I'll be honest, there's not a networking group I haven't hit, from the BNIs to the tips to the teams to the IAPME, all of them. I hit them all. I was active because I wanted to find I wanted to be part of a group, because I have that leadership in me. I have that team environment in me. But what I wasn't finding was the only person that even cared about me was the one who was handling the money. They just wanted my money. That's all they cared about. And I had a problem with that, because I didn't feel really wanted or appreciated. It was more, we need to fill this chapter, $500, you're in, $1,000, you're in. And I kind of balked at that. So we developed strategic business connections for a couple of reasons. First, to help the novice networker, if you will. That person that comes out, speaks to one or two people, and we were all there at one time, including myself, and maybe just stands in a corner and isn't, you got to be assertive, right? If you're an introvert, you've got to be an extrovert when you're at these events, or you're just going to get looked over, passed by, and you're not going to make any real connections. And if you're confident in what you do, it's very easy to become an extrovert. I'm an introvert by nature, but I'm confident in my businesses and what I do. It's allowed me to become extroverted when I get out there. So the first thing is, we want to help that networker, and we want to get people mingling. And we want to be strategic and intentional. So we're going to do courses, classes, power lunches, and so forth, to show people how to go about this, and so forth. One of the games we play, and I think you've been to one of them, is we play bingo. We play networking bingo, and it's fun. It keeps people going. But we put a bunch of categories that we know are going to be at our events on a bingo card, and we get people out there, and you got to go find those categories and have people initial off on it. And then we do a drawing for a door prize at the end of the event, and it forces people to get out there and go network. And then Samantha, Kendall, and myself, we work the room a little bit and find out who you're looking for. We might say, hey, there might be that person over in that crowd over there. Why don't you go over there and go see? And because we pretty much know who's there. And then we get you over there. We get you, we kind of give you that push you don't need, and we just help you get over there. And through this bingo, it's just become fun. Now you got people running around. It's like a scavenger hunt to find the insurance agent, the HVAC company, whatever industry it is. And we've had a lot of fun with it. I think we've been well received.
It's been a good time.
When is your next event? No, I got excited.
So right now we are every second Tuesday and last Tuesday of the month. We do Taco Tuesdays over at the Hideaway on Tom Boulevard. I don't remember the exact address, but it's been a great venue. It was a challenge finding venues. But this has been a great venue, and we've really enjoyed it. We will be doing our first power luncheon on June 23rd. It's going to be an invite only, and this is where we're going to bring people in, and we're going to strategically put the right people around you to help you build your network and your business.
So if you're watching us live, and today's the 18th. So a week from today, on the 25th, at the Hideaway, 5:30 p.m.
Yep.
And you can find it if you. I know it's on LinkedIn.
It's per invite only though.
No, that's everyone. That's open networking.
Lunch.
Okay.
That's open networking. Anyone could come. So Tom Boulevard's Cheyenne and Rancho are the cross streets, and it's kind of hidden back there. I want to say it's 3369 Tom. That's THOM.
But I think the best thing you can do is look for SBC Networking.
Yes.
On Eventbrite is probably the best place to find it. But go on LinkedIn, and I think you guys are on Facebook too.
Yes, we do.
Follow them on Facebook, because that's where a lot of the announcements come out, is on LinkedIn and Facebook. So go follow SBC Networking on Facebook and LinkedIn. You'll get the news about the announcement. You usually have the links to go get to Eventbrite. And that last event was pretty full. I don't know if you guys filled up, but you were pretty full last time.
So we're averaging, so our first event was 35 people, but we could only promote it once because the venue, we were scared. We were scared of what we might draw, and the venue wouldn't be able to handle it. So we got 35 people show. The next venue, we got 40, and we promoted the heck out of it. Last time, we got 50, but we had 103 register. And you get about 50% turnout from your registrations. It's kind of just the statistics there. But we got 50 people out there, and it's just been great. And it's allowing us to really see who's out there, and then determine who we want to start with our invite for our power luncheons. And like, for instance, our first power luncheon, it might be one realtor with a bunch of different people. And then our next power luncheon, we're going to have a different realtor, which even different people. And we want to support multiple people, not just one. Because here's the deal. When you go into these networking groups, they live on this theory of, 20% of your referrals will come from 80% of the group. And that's fine. And that might be true. But who can support and they're category exclusive, and they don't want you going to other things, and they manage your attendance and all this stuff. Who thinks their business can be supported by 4 or 5 people out of one group? My businesses can't be supported out of 4 or 5 people, but this ideology that you got to be married to the group, and you can only refer within the group, and if you go outside of the group, that it just doesn't make sense.
It'd certainly be a lot easier if the reality met with that promise, right?
It would, and it starts with a great vetting process. We might evolve to chapters. We don't know yet, but I can tell you, if we do, we're going to vet properly, and we're going to make sure, because I'm not putting any group out there, but there's some members I've Googled just to see, and the first thing that comes up with their name is fraud, and they're in these groups I'm in. And, it's like, that's the easiest vetting process, is type someone's name into the old Google machine and figure out, if it's just about their businesses and their social media, it's cool. But if it comes right up with fraud or just, there's other things, I don't want to get into or throw anyone in the bus, but there's some bad stuff out there. And these are people that were in groups that I was in, and I'm like, I can't use those people.
Definitely.
No disrespect. I don't want to, step on their hustle. But
I'm excited to see what's coming up for SBC Networking. I'm excited to be at the event next Tuesday. I will absolutely be there. I think I've been to all of them, and I don't plan on missing any in the future. So we told people, go follow SBC Network. It's SBC Networking, right?
SBC Networking. You can find us on Facebook and LinkedIn, and we're working on our website.
And then tell us one more time how they can find you.
Go to mrcoz.com, mrcoz.com. You will have access to my calendar. You can jump on my calendar for 100 cups of coffee. You can see all the different business ventures I'm involved in. I have a Facebook group that I moderate. It's called Locals Really Love Las Vegas.
That's you?
Yeah, that's me.
Oh, really?
That's me. It's turned into more of a landing page just for people to promote their businesses. Not a whole lot of engagement on it.
This is why networking is important. I already know him.
Yeah.
We do our events.
You promote them in there? Nice. It's
Thank you, Rick.
You're welcome. Well, there's another group called Locals Love Las Vegas. And I would go in that group, and it's got like 20,000 members, and all people do was fight. Just fight. The mask, COVID, this, that, just fight. And it was just nasty. So I was like, you know what? These people don't love Las Vegas. They don't even love each other.
Where's the love?
There's no love for humanity in this group. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to create my own, but I don't need to change the game. I'm just going to say, really. And then I just jump in their comments, because they wouldn't approve my posts, of course. So I just jump in their comments when they get 100 comments of people fighting or people disrespecting another's, comment or thought. And then it just started to build. And I didn't moderate it as much because I got really busy in business, so it could have been done differently. But I'm happy with it.
No.
Well,
We're glad you're happy with it. We're happy with you for
Thank
being
you.
here today. Why don't we take a break, and we'll be back with our second guest. We'll go right till 2.
Hey, welcome back to Vision to Success. You heard it from Mr. Rick here. I think he is the master of networking, according to what I heard so far on the previous segment. Thank you so much for sharing all those things. You got me kind of jump in my chair. And I'm like, I want to be involved in this. But anyways, we also have our brand new guest today. It's JV Valanja.
PJ Belanger.
What did I say?
Nobody can ever get it right, so don't worry, my sister. Don't worry, my love.
I'm
Nobody
gonna
ever gets it
He's
right.
gonna put me to jail again for
She
PJ
always-
Belanger.
Belanja.
PJ Valanger.
Belanger. The way my ex-husband taught me to say it was pretend I'm blonde, put a J at the end, say it real fast. Belanger.
Blanche. Blanche.
Belanger.
There you go.
Thank you
Anyways,
for having me.
Thank you so much. So go ahead and explain what you do. I know that you are. I heard it. I know everything she does, but I want her to come out from her mouth.
Well, it's so exciting to be here right now. I feel like I'm in a coming out period in my life, transitioning. I was a master networker with BNI for 12 years. I built a chapter from 5 business people to over 36, 37 members. And we met every Wednesday for years, and it was a wonderful experience. I grew so much, and at that time I was I had to believe in myself big enough to start a home-based business to be home with my 2 daughters while they were going through high school. And I was a single mom, and my oldest daughter got real sick and was hospitalized one week, and realized how that was affecting me working out in the field and for other companies. So, and also it wasn't for me, it wasn't who I was. I was doing, like reception work and doing lots of admin work or lots of sales on the phones. And that wasn't me. None of that was me. And so when I realized, who I was after, trying to just focus on kids and that, you go, oh, wait a minute. I realized I had a fascination for health and nutrition when I was diagnosed with lupus myself. So as I was healing myself, I became a nutritionist. I'm trained under Dr. Pam Popper. She's part of the movie, if any of you have seen it, Forks Over Knives. She's the founder of the Wellness Forum out of Ohio. And I have 2 certifications, one as a wellness educator and the other one as a health educator under her. And I worked from home for about 8 years, raising my girls through their teens, and had a Juice Plus business that paid the rent, and then did other things on the side that filled in. And that business, my Juice Plus business, paid me for another 10 years after I quit it even. So business networking has a huge foundation, was a huge foundation. Now fast forward, I've left BNI. I was kind of asked to leave because I referred to myself as a health minister, that's who I really am. And they didn't like that. So, and the fact that I had been cured of lupus, and just using the word cured in these groups, they don't like these things, like kind of like our friend Rick was saying. There's just so many like they want to overregulate people a little bit too much. I'm not very easy to regulate. So I had to, transition and figure out, how I was going to continue my businesses, but other things happened and my businesses crashed. And I literally was in hiding for 5 years. I was stalked by a murderer in one of my businesses, that's a whole nother story. But I've come back now, and I've come out of hiding, and I went back to work, and then my thyroid blew out, and then I'm like, okay, I got to work for myself again, and I have to work for me. So the more you work for you and the more you develop your skills, the more you overcome your scars, and that's how I became just, a master at building myself and who I was and through networking. And it's been an incredible journey. And leaders are readers, and readers are leaders. I'm not sure which way that should go. And so I love props, and I love sharing. So I'm having a hot flash, so if anybody sees it, forgive me. But I want to share the 2 newest entrepreneurial books I just picked up when I went to the Health and Freedom Conference in Oklahoma. Our brother out there, Clay Clark, is amazing. He has an online show as well called thrivetimeshow.com. And he's a small business association entrepreneur. And he put this book out called Boom. And I picked this up because he talks about how simple solutions, simple systems can be, but they take diligence. And that's kind of what networking is all about, follow-up is all about. And the way he writes, I just love. It's almost like comic book style, but not comic book style, but
it's more of computer kind of thing.
Just really lots of graphics, very interactive, really fun book. So he's got a proven playbook. He's got 14 proven steps to business success. I love reading people's success stories. And then this one I picked up is his as well, Clay Clark. The Entrepreneur's Dragon Energy. What a fascinating title, right? This is the mindset Kanye, Trump, and you need to succeed. It's all about the passion that it took people like Oprah and, other celebrities and other people who have reached high levels in their businesses, what it took for them to succeed. And for people like us to, like right now, me coming out of health challenges, some business challenges, restarting over again, what it takes, to do that. So be an overcomer. Make sure you have your diligence, that you're committed to what you're going to do to keep your business thriving. So I'm kind of semi-retired right now because I'm shifting into full-time ministry. I have on Facebook, I am Agape, AGAPE, which means the perfect unconditional love of God. Agape Sowers, SOWERS, Agape Sowers Wholeness Sanctuary. Agape Sowers Wholeness Sanctuary. And just planting seeds of love for hope and healing for the sick and hurting has been my focus. So I still do teach natural healing, disease prevention, nutritional healing, and also aromatherapy, which is a big part of me healing and saving my thyroid as we speak. Aromatherapy is awesome.
Yeah. PJ actually just been helping me out on some few projects that we have here on social media shows, and I just thank you so much for actually going there in replacement of me, because I have to go someplace
Absolutely.
to help us. And she is actually does a lot of networking here in Vegas. Although she's not running it, but she knows a lot of people. I just want to actually ask you this question, because Rick just moved into Vegas, and now he's running this huge networking. One of the thing, when you posted our event,
Yes.
you are a minister, and our event is actually a one-night stand.
Right.
As people knows you here in Vegas,
Yes.
how did that affect you in networking?
That's fascinating question. I love that. The first thought that comes to mind to answer that is, as a minister and as a child of God and as a Bible-believing believer, and then also as a community connector, I believe that I'm all things to all men, just like the Apostle Paul. And for me I am a single woman, and I have lots of single friends, so to go fill in for you at that singles event was like, okay, you of course I pray about everything I do, and I of course didn't wasn't going to do it if it was going to be egg on God's face, you know. But it wasn't. It was something fun for me to get out of my own box and for me to help other people get out of their boxes and just go have fun. I love being who I am as a minister because, oh my gosh, girl, for you to ask me that is so cool. I have been strategically placed in this community as with my involvement or my inspirational impact on every spectrum you can think of, from cannabis to Christ.
You know, I love that you can be actually, you can be versatile and be, you go out there, you are this person, you are that person, and then you still go what God leads you.
Amen.
And it leads
Yes.
you out there. And I don't know if you guys heard what I said. She is a minister, and the event is one night stand Vegas style. So you can imagine the bad things that can affect your
Right.
name at that moment, and she still step in. So
You know what's really cool is life is all about perception and positioning. You used the word earlier, positioning. Well, I like to think of myself as a person can come into any environment and shift it and get the people's perception into a kind of, I love the slogan of the shows, the reason why I said yes. Your slogan of the show is
come on, say it, say it, she made
flirty,
it.
Comedic and
flirty, not
raunchy
raunchy and dirty. And I was like, oh, okay, I can get on board with that. Yes,
really
it was
humorous.
so
The whole
cute.
thing is
The whole
funny.
thing was so cute, so funny. And, if it was, when we get it on a bigger scale and have lots of people and lots of guys, we need guys to show up. That's going to be Saturday night. Stay tuned.
Yes.
It is going to be a lot of fun. I'll be there when I can.
Promoting.
I'll fill in
Actually,
and
you're
promote
doing the promotion.
what I can, but please make sure all your singles know for a fun night out, one night
you're gonna
stand,
be there,
Las
right?
Vegas style.
I might, yeah.
But
June 5th will be the next one.
Anyways,
June
I
5th
have a
at
question.
Chanclas.
I have a question for Rick. Rick, you see, we were talking earlier before PJ came in that regarding the different. She does a lot of things. Yeah. So how in your company? What's your company's name again? SBC. SBC.
Yeah, strategic business connections.
Yeah. So how you connect people with different things that she's doing into your networking event?
Well, we invite them. It starts with an invite, and we get them out there, and then we encourage them to meet others. You have to meet others. I'm not one to talk about my businesses and networking. I used to, and I got tired of the elevator pitch. I got tired of it. I mean, you can only recreate it so many willing. So it's really just about getting out there. Just get to know people. Just generally get to know people. Listen, I'm gonna leave here and I'm probably gonna research you because I didn't know you before I came here today, right? And you don't know that, but I want to know who you are, and that's what people do. They meet someone and they're gonna go look at. So you don't have to go out there and just sell your business all day long. They're gonna figure out who you are, and if they need you, they're gonna remember that you weren't out there pushing your business and that you were just a genuine person out there
Yes.
meeting people
Yes.
and getting to know people. Now, if somebody asks me what I do, I'll spend very little time on it. I'm in financial services. I own 3 different companies. You can go to mrcos.com if you want to see it, and that's that. I don't get too deep into it.
I want to go back to something that Rick talked about in the last segment because I think it applies to what you were just talking about. And you were talking about introverts and folks who are a little less outgoing.
Yeah.
I don't want to get into the whole Jungian introvert extrovert thing that we could spend 6 hours talking about
It's
that.
another show.
But yeah, right, that's a whole series of shows. But many people are intimidated when they go out networking, and I wanna get both of your opinion. You were talking about shifting perception in an event like that, and
Yes.
I wanna understand what you both think about is how can people in our audience, if they're a little nervous about going networking, they're not quite ready to put themselves out there in such a vulnerable way like Rick talks about, how can they use some of the tools you talk about, like shifting perception and some of the other things in these books? How would you advise our audience to do that?
To me, it always just comes down to being genuine. I mean, I don't overcomplicate things. I just don't. Life can be complicated enough if you make it that way.
When I look at you, you're complicated though.
Why?
No, just kidding. I was just joking.
I'm actually not, and
No, you're not.
and it's. I just learned to keep things simple. You don't have to overthink things, and we've all done it. I've been there. Everything what shaped me today is my life lessons, right? My failures and what have you. But I'm not afraid. So when I first stepped out to my first event, and that's how the hat got adopted. I thought, let me throw on a fedora. I
That's
had
the
one.
complication comes.
I had one. Well, I went out there. I didn't know anybody. I had no one to go with. I was here by myself. My wife stayed back in Tennessee while I came out here to get established and get his residency and all that other stuff. So I'm out here by myself trying to meet people. And I just had to go for it. And my first event was a chamber event, and I just went for it. I just showed up. And just started approaching people. I had to do it. I had no choice.
Number one thing that you gotta do is to show up.
Yeah, gotta show up. And then I had the hat on and got nothing but compliments about it. And then I figured, I guess I gotta wear the hat everywhere I go now. And then I just branded myself with the hat. And then, for 10 years when I was at JP Morgan Chase, I had to wear a black suit every single day. Black suit. As soon as I left that company, I got a green and this color.
I love
and
this.
baby blue. I got all kinds of extravagant suits. I have one black suit and I only wear it at
You
funerals.
belong to
I
Vegas.
stay out of a
So
black.
good
I
for
stay out of a
you.
black
I
suit.
love it.
And then I just bought it, but now I got like 20 hats and I want to be memorable.
Yes.
And
You want to stand
Yes.
up to.
and I do,
Yes.
yeah. So that's why I dress the way I do, and I don't always dress this way, but I have casual look too. But I just figured if I could be recognized, and then people would tell me, "Oh my God, I was at this event," and they're describing the guy with the beard and the hat. And I always had to have a nice, clean. If I had a beard, it had to be tapered and real professional, right, in corporate America. And then I just started letting it go and clean it up, and then it became the hat and the beard, and then I just branded myself Mr. Cos. I figured that's the best way to go to figure out who I am and what I do.
And I think something that I want to make sure that our audience takes away is that the hat and the beard are kind of the external artifacts. But when people leave an event, they remember Rick. They remember Cos. It's not that they're talking about, did you see that guy with the hat and the beard? It was, I met this guy Rick and he was awesome. And when people say you got to introduce me to him, it's that guy over there with the hat and the beard. So there's more substance to it. It's not just putting a hat on. It's not just an artifact that gets you attention. It's something to start the conversation and build a relationship.
One of the books that I remember that impacted my life the most was called How You Leave Them Feeling. How You Leave Them Feeling. Good friend, good guy. I did some personal coaching with him. I'll never forget. But that's what it's all about. That's how you shift the environment. Is you go there. The expression that comes to mind that helps break down your walls is go as if you're going to talk to your grandparents to hear them out and find out what they need. And then when you find out what they need, you can figure out how to help them and how to get what they need. So pretend you're going to go just chat with your grandma and grandpa, and that'll tear away some of that intimidation.
If you're really getting stuck when you're going to these networking events, you can't find that you're willing to approach somebody. Think of it as, let me try to match up as many people who are good matches as I can. So now go approach somebody with the intent of finding someone you can match them with that's a good fit for them. Do that a couple of times, and that'll let you ease up a little bit on being so nervous about it.
It is almost more exciting to make a fantastic connection between people than it is to get a connection.
Far more rewarding.
It's so rewarding.
Yes.
I was in BNI. I was one of the very rare few ever to be awarded the Flame Starters Award, and it was because I used to build other people's businesses. And I was all about how can I get them business? How can I bring them business? Who can I bring business? And bring more, rather than a referral just for you, I would rather bring someone who was a referral source for everyone. And that was very, very,
I love what we are talking about. You actually go in with your looks. And then you go in with personality. I think these are very important when you're going to networking, because self-branding.
Yes.
That's the first thing that they say in there, like that guy. Because I'm that kind of person. I thought myself that when I walk inside the room, I'm already auditioning. I'm screening every single person in that room.
Right.
I'm gonna talk. I don't even have to talk to them. I already know what they do, what they don't do,
Right.
and who are they, or they're lying or anything.
Right.
I love that part where I'm gonna like, I probably not always right, but I already kind of like position them.
Mm-hmm.
I love using the word,
Yes, that's our
but
key
I
word
already
today.
position them. Yeah.
Yes.
So.
And you know, it's fascinating for me to brand myself, okay, Chaplain PJ and hot and healthy grandma. You know, it's like from one,
So which one
one
today?
extreme to the other.
Yeah, which
It's like,
one today I'm using?
I could be all things to all men. We are, all man, human.
So what do you think about the self-branding?
It's challenging because, what does everybody want in any professional or business person?
Mm-hmm.
They want trust. They want that trust factor. They want to be able to trust you
Mm-hmm.
and trust that you're the right person for that job.
Mm-hmm.
But how do you build that trust? California, I was a professional for 25 years out there. I'm trusted. I have a network out there of people. Here, nobody knows me. I'm nobody, right? So I always come back to this word because it just means so much to me. I just feel if you're a genuine human being and you act genuine and you treat people the way you'd want to be treated,
Yes.
you're going to build that trust. And if you always do the right thing, and I'll give you an example. I do auto and home insurance, right?
Mm-hmm.
And here's the type of insurance, and I'm building a scratch agency. I don't make a ton of money in that because until you get a big book, so this is a 5-year play to build a book of business in the insurance industry, if I'm being honest with you. But there's one particular carrier nobody can beat out here, and that's Geico. Geico beats everybody in auto. So I don't write very many autos because every time I quote an auto, I always tell my client, check Geico real quick.
Mm-hmm.
And they always come in about $600 per 6 months cheaper than I do. And I've got like almost 100 carriers. And for me to make, on a policy, $40 to $100, to charge them an extra $600 is not worth it to me. I'd rather get them to the right person and make sure that they're getting the best for their deal. And I'll make money on my other lines of businesses because they'll come back to me. Everyone needs to get their taxes done. Unless you know how to do it, you got to have someone do it. So I'll help them there and make a little money there and what have you.
And I think there's a really important takeaway lesson here. When you think about branding, whether you're going to wear a hat, whether it's going to be being in lines of certain business, whether it's going to be, do I sell an insurance policy somewhere or refer them somewhere else? Brand yourself based on who you are and what you value, which is what Rick has done here. In the insurance world, he said, look, I'm going to find you the best deal. If that's not with me, that's okay. Brand yourself based on who you are and what you value. Anything else, people will see through. If you're trying to create a veneer when you're out networking, that's your brand, that isn't consistent with your values and who you are and what your business is all about, it's at the very least going to create some cognitive dissonance, and people are going to get a little confused and probably not remember you. And at worst, they're going to think you're dishonest.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
I have a last question for you, Rick. I am the kind of person that I believe in networking because I built networking when I was in my previous job. I was the one who's running networking. Now that I own my own business, and all of my people knows this, I don't really go out and networking. I'd rather actually focus on, right now I'm focusing on different things. So for me that not working much, not networking much, I meant, how could I, how can I say this? Sorry. How could I how can I start myself doing this?
Well, a couple things. The first thing, and we didn't even get into this, and we probably don't have time. There's a huge audience in social media marketing. And I'm just talking about jumping in comments, engaging people, being genuine, and not even selling your business. But there's a huge opportunity to build relationships on these platforms, Facebook, LinkedIn. I don't use Instagram as much as I probably should. But what I would say is, and it always comes back to this, is you just got to go out. Now, the last year, right, there wasn't really much going on, right? We all were stuck in our home. So I had to learn how to get myself out there on social media. I have a whole nother network that's only social media. And what's been great about that is from all these groups I'm in and what have you, and I've learned from some great mentors on there, I was able to bring a lot of those people out to our live events and get to meet some of these people in person that you only know from behind the screen. So I would say, if you're dialed in on your social media platforms, and there's a whole system to how you do it properly, in my opinion, then you should be doing that. As far as live events, I try to go to 2 a week. Couple reasons. One, it's like I said, it's free. Usually, it doesn't cost me any money in marketing or advertising. I get to meet great people, and I don't like to be at home. I was at home for the last year.
Yep.
I want to be out.
I think,
And I say, you know, if you're real busy, I know what you mean. Like, so you cannot be everything and everywhere as one business owner. So I say, you know, start 2 a month, you know, and see that you make sure you can do the follow up on those people that you do meet. And like he said earlier, that you're able to fine tune who you're looking to meet when you do go. So it's not wasted time.
I think also you want to be very clear. We talked about this in the last segment with Rick. You want to be very clear about what your purpose is and who you're trying to connect with when you're out networking.
Yes.
In your case, you've got a couple things you're trying to do with this business. One, you're trying to build audience for an internet TV channel. You're going to build a lot of that audience through your social media channels, but you're also going to build audience by providing great content.
Right.
Where are you finding the people who are going to create your shows and build your great content? That's going to be a relationship you want to build much stronger than just messaging back and forth or seeing some posts and comments on social media. That might be what you're really looking to do when you go out networking. Is I'm looking, right, there are how many shows on this network right now?
Oh, we have 16.
16, and there are 24 hours a day and 7 days in a week, right?
Oh.
So there's a lot of room to put content on this network. That might be what you're out looking for network, is engaging, exciting, entertaining personalities who have a message that could be a great show, either a great guest for this show. If you'd like to be one, let us know. Or someone who could do their own show. That might be what you're out looking for in networking, where you want to get a more personal touch and get to know someone a little bit than just connecting with them on social media.
I think I like that.
Yeah, and I'll give you. So I learned this when I was at J.P. Morgan Chase. Jamie Dimon's the CEO of J.P. Morgan Chase, and he's one of the most well-respected CEOs of Fortune 500 companies out there. Unless you hate banks, for whatever
I used
reason.
to be a manager in a bank.
Did you?
Well,
Spent 25 years in that.
it's even if you hate them all, he's still one of the most respected.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
yes,
He
of
is.
course, yeah.
He is, and the most important thing to him, and I adopted this, is his calendar. His calendar is the most important. So like PJ said, maybe you start with a couple events a month, stuff like that. It's calendar management. I spend a lot of time on my calendar to make sure it's tight. My calendar dictates what I'm doing typically. My job's to fill it and strategically make sure I have enough time for everybody and to get them in there. That is my number one priority, and everything I do is my calendar management.
You're gonna have to teach me that.
That is a great place to leave it, because we're out of time. PJ, Rick, tell everyone one more time how they can get a hold of you.
Go ahead.
I am PJ Belanger 7 at gmail.com. I am also mydoterra.com/PJ Belanger, BELANGER. mydoterra.com/PJ BELANGER. Let's get oily.
Yes, thank you, PJ. Rick Cosgrove, and thank you guys all so much for having me today. Rick Cosgrove, MrCos.com, MRCOZ.com. You can get access to my calendar. You can jump on it. And I'd love to meet you. Let's go have a cup of coffee.
Nice. 100
Or-
cups of coffee.
Or if you're in the Las Vegas Valley, or you just want to come to the Las Vegas Valley, SBC Taco Tuesday,
Yes.
next Tuesday night. Rick will be there.
I will
be there. I hope we'll see both of you there.
Yes.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you so much, viewers, for joining us today. We're going to be back in about 2 weeks from now. And also, we are talking earlier about One Night Stand. It's going to be coming back 2 weeks from now as well. And we're trying to get all singles in there. Even though we said One Night Stand Vegas style, it's actually a networking for singles. It is not literally a one night stand. It is networking for singles, and we have a good few people actually comes. We have Desi, who's behind the camera, our promoter, and now we have another promoter, which is Miss PJ. Thank you so much. And
Fun.
yeah, this is
I
look
love
at it. Look at it at this is your networking event, and trying to actually have fun at night, because we are in Vegas, by the way, and it's comedic. Come on,
And flirty.
and flirty,
But not raunchy and dirty.
Yes. So it's literally a classy one, not
Yes.
yeah. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can find the raunchy and dirty here in Vegas too if that's your
Yeah.
thing. But,
Yeah.
but that's not
Elsewhere.
this thing.
Not this thing. Yeah, this is more of networking for
It's
singles.
hilarious.
It's hilarious. Yeah, before I forgot, we have speed dating and blindfold dating. So that's the fun of it. That's the comedic part.
All right, so if all of our business listeners haven't tuned out yet, we will see you back here on Vision to Success in 2 weeks.